Dr. Stephen Zemanek here. I want to give you some advice on how to enjoy your life the best you can. Now, unlike some of the folks who are out there selling books and charging a fee for conferences, I'm not here to twist scripture. I'm not here to get anything out of you. I just want to offer you the same advice that I've offered to hundreds of people around the country over the years. It comes from a life verse that I have. Now, if you're in the Christian world, you understand the concept of a life verse. It's one of those verses that really grabs you, holds on to you, and you use it as a foundation for everything that you do. All of us have different life verses, verses that mean something to us. But the one that means almost everything to me comes from the book of Ecclesiastes. And in there, Solomon gives this incredible piece of advice in chapter 9, verse 10. It's one that I've taken to heart, and I can tell you, based on what the scriptures teach and on my personal experience, it works. It doesn't make life easy. It doesn't always make life fun and exciting, but it is a foundation upon which, regardless of the situation that I'm in, I can do the best I can with where I'm at. I want to pass it on to you. The verse says, "Whatever you find to do, do it with all your might. For there is no activity, no planning, no knowledge, no wisdom in the grave where you're going." Sounds kind of dark, doesn't it? As Americans, we want to ignore that because of the last line, death. None of us want to face death. Others don't know what to do with the verse because it says there is no activity or planning or knowledge or wisdom in the grave where you're going, and they don't want to have to try to make this verse fit our understanding of the afterlife. Solomon in that book is very clear that he believes in an afterlife, and even in this verse, we get a glimpse of how all of that works. But Solomon's advice is basic, it's foundational, and it'll provide for you the things you need to do right here, right now, to enjoy life, to get the most out of life while you've got it. Because while there is an afterlife and we're all going to give an account, truth is, before that time comes, we're all here right now trying to do the best we can. And Solomon gives us some great advice. 3 things. First, give. Give it your all. Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. Did you catch that? A lot of us don't really enjoy life. We don't find a passion in anything because we're just trying to get by. We do the bare minimum, whether it's in relationships or employment, social services, whatever it is that we're doing, we just do enough to say we did it. But if you really want to get the most out of life, give whatever you're doing at the time everything you've got. This goes from everything to walking the treadmill at the gym, something I actually know nothing about because, whether it's something as simple as that or building a relationship with your spouse, give it everything you've got. Put your heart into it. Pour your life into whatever you're doing at the time. People often tease me personally because whatever I'm doing at the moment is literally the only thing that matters in the whole world. If I'm with you at that moment, as one of my friends often says, when you're alone with Steve, you're the only person that matters, but as soon as he leaves, you probably won't hear from him again until next time he runs into you. The reason for that isn't because of my ADHD, which I have. The reason for that is because I have learned to develop the biblical technique of giving life everything I've got. And so whatever I'm doing at the time is the only thing I'm doing. And you need to do that as well. Begin to focus on what you're doing. College student, you're doing homework. I've been there a lot. Give it everything you got. College student, homework's done, you're hanging out in the quad with friends. Give that everything you've got. Live your life with passion for what you're doing. Even if you don't particularly enjoy what you're doing, give it everything you've got. The second is in this verse as well. Get into your present. Did you catch that? Not only give it all you got, but get into your present. Notice the line, "For there is no activity, planning, knowledge, or wisdom in Sheol," in the grave. A lot of us fail to enjoy where we are right now because we're stuck living in the past. You think about COVID and all the restrictions and things are going on. So many people are still focused on what it was like before COVID. It was great. but that's gone. Might come back, it might not. But if you spend your whole life living in the past, the relationship you used to have with somebody, the job you used to have, the way you used to enjoy this, that, or the other, but you're physically unable to do anymore. If you're constantly living in the past, you don't have the emotional energy to live in the present. Others fail to enjoy where they're at right now because they're always living in the future. One day when I win the Powerball. One day when my spouse finally says I'm right. One day when my kids are out of the house. One day. And they never enjoy now because mentally they're waiting for something else. We don't know what tomorrow holds. What we have is here and now today. And so get into the present. Spend your energy right now enjoying and going through difficult situations now. When you do that, all of a sudden the past, as good or bad as it was what it was, and you build on it. The future may or may not be better or worse. You'll wait and see. But for now, you're living in the present. And when you are present, the reality of that begins to come in and it changes your presence. Sounds like a sales technique. The simple fact is, when you and I live for today, and let tomorrow worry about itself, all of a sudden we begin to see all of the benefits and the blessing today has to offer. So give it all you got. Get into your present. And finally, go forward knowing that your life has an expiration date. Notice, whatever your hand finds to do, do it with all your might. Because when you die, that's it. Now, don't misunderstand me. Don't misunderstand Solomon. He nor I are saying that's it, you just go to dust. There is a judgment day, there is an accounting, and there is an eternity after this. But when we go forward knowing that what we have now, we might not have in the future, it allows us to enjoy it, to respect it, and to value it more. My wife and I ride a motorcycle, and we recently went on what I've been calling the epic journey, 3,500 some miles on the bike together. The reason we did it was two. One, we're living in the present. We wanted to do it. Two, whatever we're going to do with all of our might. We gave it everything we had. But three, we know very well that there is coming a day when physically or perhaps financially, we're not going to be able to do that. And so the things we do now, we do because we don't want to look back and say, you know what we should have done? We want to look back and say, do you remember when we did? And so with regard to the relationships you have, quit living in the bitterness of what happened in the past. Live in that relationship knowing that it has an expiration date, and value and enjoy and build on it now so that when the expiration date comes, you're able to look back and say, what a great relationship. Ups and downs, but overall, that was a good ride. Instead of, you know what I should have done? With regard to how you treat people, it's going to have an expiration date. There are moments for us to reach out and be kind. There are moments for us to go selflessly serve others, and then they're gone. Don't come to a point in your life where you look back and say, you know what I should have done? Instead, be able to sit back and say, you know what? I remember when I did. You want to enjoy your life the best you can? You want to get the most out of your life? Solomon's advice works for you. Give it all you got. Get into your present and go forward knowing that life really does have an expiration date. When you live with that kind of focus and passion during the good and the bad times, you're going to be able to look back one day and say, you know what? It might not have been a perfect life, but what a great ride it was. Whatever you're doing today, remember this. Because of Jesus, life is good today. The Lord be with you.